Where in the world are they stealing gold from Canada? Here is some shocking news coming out of Africa. The government of Burkina Faso has reclaimed over 46 tons of its gold from Canada after years of legal battles. According to reports, the Canadian authorities have been sitting on this gold since 2012, which is 11 years. That's a long time. And this was under the control of the former president Blaise Compaoré. He stole it, and he died, and still they could not release it. But now it's finally been released. Burkina Faso's current government, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, took office in September 2022 after a military coup. One of their first acts was to initiate the process of retrieving the gold held in Canada, paving the way for its return to Burkina Faso. The gold is estimated to be worth millions of dollars, but we don't know exactly how much because the value of gold fluctuates every day. But let me tell you that the value of 46 tons of gold is hundreds of millions of dollars. It's a huge amount. According to reports, the gold was illegally exported from Burkina Faso to Canada between 2011 and 2012 when Blaise Compaoré was the president of the country. The gold had been seized by Canadian authorities in 2012 and efforts were made by Burkina Faso officials to get it back. The Canadian authorities had claimed that the gold was purchased legally, but Burkina Faso officials insisted that it was stolen and demanded its return. It was until recently that the new government of Burkina Faso, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, was able to retrieve the gold. The story of how the gold was smuggled out of Burkina Faso is quite fascinating. Apparently, the former president Blaise Compaoré entrusted to businessmen named Frank Timis and Sami Traoré with the task of selling the gold in Canada and Switzerland. However, the deal went sour and the two businessmen ended up taking the gold to Canada, where they bribed Canadian officials to turn a blind eye to its illegal importation. A Canadian citizen of Lebanese descent named Ziad Hrb Cheka was also involved in the smuggling ring, and he ended up in jail for 5 years as a result. The Canadian authorities seized the gold bars and launched an investigation into the matter. The investigation revealed that the gold had indeed been smuggled out of Burkina Faso and efforts were made to retrieve it. However, it was not until recently that the new government of Burkina Faso, led by Captain Ibrahim Traoré, was able to succeed where previous attempts had failed. Now, this is not the first time that Canada has been involved in a scandal like this. In recent years, Canada has become a hub for stolen African gold. In fact, there are so many cases of stolen African gold in Canada that there is even a social media page dedicated to exposing them. The page is called Stolen African Gold and it has over 8,000 followers. The page posts stories of people who have lost their gold to thieves and smugglers, as well as updates on the latest gold scams and busts in Canada. One of the most popular posts on the page is a story of a man who lost his life savings to a gold scammer. The man, who wished to remain anonymous, said that he had been saving up for years to buy a plot of land and build a house for his family. He had even put down a deposit on a piece of land when he was approached by a stranger who claimed to have a friend who could get him gold at a very low price. Thinking that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the man borrowed money from his friends and family and invested everything he had into the purchase of the gold. However, when he received the gold bars, he realized that they were fake. He had been scammed, and he lost everything. Another popular post on the page is a story of a woman who was robbed of her gold jewelry in broad daylight. The woman, who was a new immigrant to Canada, was walking through a busy street when she was approached by a group of men who grabbed her gold chains and bracelets and ran away. She was left traumatized and without her life savings. These are just two of the many stories that are shared on the Stolen African Gold page. The reality is that Canada has become a haven for stolen African gold, and there is little that can be done to stop it. If you think about it, it makes sense why Canada is a hub for stolen African gold. For starters, Canada is a Commonwealth country, which means that it has close ties to the United Kingdom. The UK is one of the largest consumers of gold in the world, and so it is a natural destination for stolen gold to end up. Additionally, Canada is a very attractive destination for immigrants and refugees. This means that there is a large population of people who are not from here who may be more vulnerable to being scammed or taken advantage of. Finally, Canada is a very wealthy country, and so there is a lot of money to be made by those who are willing to engage in illegal activities such as smuggling gold. All of this has led to a situation where Canada has become a hub for stolen African gold. There have been numerous cases of gold being smuggled into Canada from countries such as Ghana, South Africa, and Nigeria. The gold is usually smuggled in through the airports or by using land borders with the United States. Once in Canada, the gold is sold to local dealers who either export it to the UK or sell it to private buyers. The Canadian government is aware of the problem of stolen African gold, but it has not done much to address it. This is likely due to the fact that Canada is a very wealthy country, and so it does not feel the impact of the stolen gold as much. Additionally, the Canadian government probably does not want to upset the people of African countries by cracking down on the trade of their stolen gold. This issue is not just about the financial loss that is being suffered by African countries. It is also about the image of Canada being tarnished as a destination for stolen goods. If nothing is done to stop the trade of stolen African gold in Canada, it could eventually lead to Canada being known as the place to go if you have stolen goods to sell. There are a few ways that Canada can address this issue. The government could increase security at airports and land borders to make it more difficult for gold smugglers to bring gold into the country. They could also work with African governments to track down the source of the stolen gold and prosecute the smugglers. Finally, Canada could raise awareness about the issue of stolen African gold so that people are more aware of the problem and are less likely to fall victim to it. I don't think that Canada will take any action to address this issue. The country has benefited too much from the trade of stolen African gold, and it is unlikely that they will jeopardize their own interests to help African countries. This is a sad reality, but it is the truth. Canada has become a hub for stolen African gold, and it is unlikely that anything will be done to change that. Thank you for watching this video. Let us know what you think about Canada in the comments section below. We will be responding to some of the comments. Also, please don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon. Until next time.